Okay, the last PowerPoint for methods of teaching IT is classroom assessment strategies. Let's go. So what is assessment? Assessment is a broad and continuous process of collecting, synthesizing, and interpreting information that uses specific tools and procedures aimed at identifying the impact of school programs and curricula on students' learning, cognitive, affective, and psychomotor terms. So just to sum this assessment up, assessment is a process of collecting, synthesizing information. Testing. What is testing? Testing is a formal, systematic procedure for gathering information. Testing methods include paper, pencil tests, portfolios, projects, and observations. I think everyone should know what testing is. If you don't, I think you need help. Okay, measurement. Measurement is the process of quantifying or assigning a number to a performance or trait. So here's an example. Okay, evaluation. Evaluation is the process of judging the quality of or value of a performance of a course or action, such as the quality of a student's essay. So just when I think of the word evaluation, I just think judging. If you remember the word judging, evaluation, you should be good. Okay, purposes of assessment. The overriding purposes of all assessment is to gather information to facilitate effective decision making, provide information that helps teachers evaluate student learning, evaluate instructional effectiveness. So what are the purposes of assessment? First point is student progress. Allows teachers to monitor student progress and promote growth. Allows teachers to gain information about student needs. Next topic is student achievement. Allows students to demonstrate achievement, allows to evaluate student achievement, allows teachers and parents to recognize accomplishments. Next point is instruction. Allow teachers to use student data to make instructional decisions, reteach as appropriate, and improve instruction. Allow teachers, schools, and districts to evaluate and modify programs. I think most of this is quite self-explanatory. Okay, assessment standards. So assessment should reflect content that all students need to know. Assessment should enhance learning. Assessment should measure students' attainment of instructional objectives. 3. Assessment should promote equity. I think you can read those two topics yourselves. 4. Assessment should be an open process. 5. Assessment should be a coherent process. So evaluation questions and criteria should be aligned with goals and objectives of the program, unit, and lesson. So phases of assessment, 3 types. Early assessment, which is pre-assessment, formative assessment, which is assessment for learning, and summative assessment, which is the assessment of the learning. So pre-assessment. The purpose of pre-assessment is to provide teachers with general information about students' characteristics, include observations of students' behavior, academic work level, attitude, relationships, etc. It is used to determine what students know about the topic before it is taught. Pre-assessment will help determine flexible grouping patterns. I think that question was from the quiz we had. Also called placement. Measure entry performance of readiness. May include cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. So I just think of pre-assessment before school year starts. You can pre-assess your students to see what level they're on and adjust the groups accordingly. So if you have 3 groups, group A, B, and C, the highest group and the lowest group, you can place students accordingly because you pre-assess them. Pre-assessment strategies: checklist, pre-test, student discussions, student demonstrations, student products and work samples, standardized test data, teacher observation, writing samples. Next is formative assessment. Assessment for learning happens while learning is still underway. Formative assessment is a process used by teachers and students during instruction that provides feedback to adjust ongoing teaching and learning to improve students' achievements, intent, instructional outcomes. See, this is quite self-explanatory. Basically, as you're learning, you're assessing them. So it's ongoing learning assessment. Goals of formative assessment: to diagnose student needs, to plan the next step of instruction, to provide students with feedback they can use to improve the quality of their work, to help students see and feel how they are in control of their journey to success, to actively involve all students in the teaching learning process. So formative assessment, the type of assessment is not about accountability, it's about getting better. So, even if they're not doing so well, they're not being tested at the moment, or they're not being graded in such a sense. So it's about, improving themselves. What it looks like: teaching/learning process, ongoing day-to-day classroom assessment. It's informal class discussions, teacher-student dialogues, observation, student groups, self and peer assessments. Okay, what it looks like: formal, homework, quizzes and or tests, graded or non-graded. Writing assignments, descriptive feedback, presentations, directed questions. So that's what formal looks like. So formative assessment strategies: checking for understanding. The do's and don'ts. I'll give you 10 seconds. I'm not going to bother reading this, so just read it yourself. Okay, I might as well actually read it. Don't ask yes or no questions and phrases like, does that make sense? Do ask pointed questions. Do ask students to summarize or paraphrase important concepts and instructions and explain it in their own words. Don't let students off the hook as you ask them a question. Call on the student to answer the question, to answer after you've asked the question. Okay, formative assessment strategies. Checking for understanding. This I'm not going to read. This, just read it. I'll give 10 seconds and move on. Okay, remember assessment strategies. Checking for understanding. Remember, if students don't have understanding, the teacher needs to reteach the material. Formative assessment strategies: checking for understanding. So the purposes of homework. So I'll just read some of it, but I'm not going to read all of it. To help students review, apply, and integrate what has been learned in the class. Okay, I guess I'm going to read all of it. I think it's quite important to learn this. To help them prepare for the next session, to extend exploration of topics more fully than class time permits, help students gain skills in self-directed learning and using resources such as reference materials, to help students develop mastery by practicing what they have learned, to help teachers and students assess their understanding. Purposes of homework. I think everyone's done homework, everyone knows the purposes, why we do it. So the first two topics, first 2 points, it helps student review what they've actually learned in class and prepare for the next session. I think those are the 2 main points of homework. Okay, this is checking for understanding. The amount of homework to assign, read this yourself. Ways to assign homework. So Again, checking for understanding, ways to review homework, ways to submit homework. Okay, now we're going to talk about summative assessment. Summative, actually I'm going to pause here and talk about summative assessment on the next PowerPoint. I only have a few minutes left on screen cost.